Namaskar. We have an unusual situation in that somebody is trying to do something big and they usually keep it very close to their chest until the thing starts rolling out, and then they claim victory or defeat. Well, they won't usually claim defeat. But in case of Trump, it's actually the opposite way. He is, in fact, telegraphing what he's going to do with every sector of the industry or aspect of life in the United States. Why is he doing this? What is the difference in approach? How does this yield results? In fact, he has been saying that he's going to fire a lot of people who are corrupt, who are in the bureaucracy. And bureaucracy, you know how it closes upon itself to try and preserve itself. So how is it that Trump is going to succeed when he is actually telling, I'm going to, off you? And how is this going to work? So these are all questions that people are asking, and I'm going to show you what he wants to do as far as taking care of the drug cartels and destroying the entire drug cartel market. The problem that we have in the United States is that it's no longer, marijuana or opium or hemp or some of these, plant-based drugs. Now you have the chemical, artificial, lab-grown drugs such as meth, fentanyl. Fentanyl is actually killing a lot of kids in the 18 to 25 range now. So it's become a menace to the society. In fact, it is believed that 99% of fentanyl or the stuff that goes into making of fentanyl is all being sourced out of China. Now China has distributed the finished product in such a way that now it can be manufactured practically even in your home. Very sad state of affairs. How they have managed to make this process so reliable, so perfect, that you can do it in any place where you have access to maybe running water and a few other things. So this is going to present a huge challenge for Trump as he takes on the drug industry. So I'm going to share with you a slide deck that reflects what he's thinking, and we'll see how much of this actually plays out successfully when his term finishes in 4 years. Here we go. How is he going to take on the drug cartels? He had announced previously that it will be the official policy of the United States to take down the drug cartels. He had laid out an aggressive plan to dismantle the criminal trafficking networks that are destroying lives and communities on both sides of the border. I don't have to tell you that YouTube CEO's son, who had joined UC Berkeley as a freshman, actually overdosed on fentanyl and died. So if the really ultra rich also are having similar problems, we know that the society, there is something really, really wrong. The drug cartels are waging war on America, and it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels. What are the 8 things that he wants to do? He has an 8-point plan, and we are going to contrast this with what Biden did. So you will really get an idea of how bad the 4-year reign of Biden has been, especially when it came to tackling drugs. First, Trump plans to restore all of his previous border policies and fully secure the border. I'll tell you a story here, guys. He said that he was going to build the wall, Trump, in 2016, and he actually allocated money, steel bars, steel frames, steel was procured, and then they started building the wall. Well, the wall wasn't finished by the time his term finished. I think most likely he might have thought that he was going to come back for another term. I mean, if you don't screw up royally, you usually get a second term as far as the United States presidents go. I mean, even George Bush got a second term. So he must have thought that he would finish up what he has left undone in the first term. But unfortunately, what happened was he lost. Biden came, and these steel bars, frames, whatever you want to think of, they rotted in the sun. And after some time, I think a year or two, the same vendors who sold these frames for a huge profit to the US government took them back as scrap, cents on the dollar. And now I can tell you that the same people will turn around and sell it back to the US government for the same astronomical sums that they sold, if not more than previously. I find it very, very ironic that a wall which was intended to do only those sections which were easier to get across from Mexico to US. There are places where you just cannot get in, but by and large it's a fairly flat land, and a wall of 20 feet long was a must. So this is how the Democrats screwed this one up. But I'll come back and give you, side by side comparison between Trump and Biden. Next, he is going to deploy all necessary military assets, including the US Navy, to impose the full naval embargo and the cartels. Once you start using the Navy, things change drastically. Well, first of all, today there is not just outside trafficking of drugs like through trucks and things like that. You also have drone-based stuff. What they have now established, the drug cartels, is they know which part of the border the Customs Border Patrol is policing, and there are other places where they can actually use drones to get the lay of the land. How much is the policing being done? Have they gone far away so that even if you break in, it will be too far for them to catch us, and we can actually make a run to some highway and then just get lost, disappear into the United States. All these things are being factored in, and you can be sure that as the Customs and Border Patrol tightens up its access and starts shooting down some of these drones, who are essentially surveillance drones, to try and find out which part of the border fence the patrolling is happening, especially at night time. Now, they also have a lot of tunnels. In fact, I'm told there are some tunnels that are air conditioned between Mexico and the United States. And they also were trying to get it using these dhows and floats with 10 people and so on. Even that was coming in, drugs were coming in even that way. So once the Navy starts getting involved, it will secure the oceans. But in terms of the wall, still a lot of work needs to be done, especially erecting it, and more importantly, effectively policing it. That's going to be a challenge, but it helps to have the US Navy do this. After all, there is not much happening around the world, right? US, it's not itself participating in any of the wars. Ensure that the waters of the Western Hemisphere are not used to traffic illicit drugs to the US. What are the Western Hemisphere? If you imagine the west coast of United States, and then you look left, that is westward, then you have the islands of Hawaii, and beyond that you have China, and so on and so forth. That is the Western Hemisphere. So he is saying that the waters will be not allowed to traffic illicit drugs. How is this going to be possible? I mean, if illicit drugs come by way of all those huge containers that are on these huge container ships, how are you going to be able to find it? Well, there are ways to find it. You don't have to really go and open every one of them. There are ways to find it. More importantly, I think he's going to go to the source. Right now, China is on its knees as far as its economy is concerned, and if something has to happen, it has to be happening there. The Chinese Communist Party is very effective in cracking down on anything. So you just lay down the law, no drugs for the next 6 months, and until we see that that's happening, we're not even going to deal with you, or increase the tariff by 200% or something until they start doing it, and then bring the tariff down, something like that. So this could be a huge counter that Trump may have to try and make the Chinese to stop producing all these not only fentanyl finished product, but also the API, or it's called something, precursors that are used to create the products like fentanyl. They're not selling fentanyl as a fentanyl drug that can kill you instantly. What they instead do is they put it with Adderall, put it with paracetamol, for example, and things like this, and they move it in the gray pharma market. I mean, you can buy it from e-commerce sites. They actually get posted, shipped on mail, US mail, very innocuous stuff, right? So this is how they are doing it. So you have to go to the source and make sure that the source doesn't keep producing all these materials. That's my 2 cents. Order the Department of Defense, this is number 4, order the Department of Defense to make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other covert and overt actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership, infrastructure, and operations. Where is the cartel today? Well, the cartel used to operate from Colombia. They moved to Mexico. They've also moved to some other countries. They've also moved to the Golden Triangle, which is the area that adjoins Manipur, and it's into Myanmar, parts of Liam, Thailand, and the northern part. That's the Golden Triangle. We have talked about it many times, so you kind of know where I'm talking about. The cartels have actually moved there. And that's only to produce the naturally growing thing. The bigger fear now is the artificially grown, lab grown parts such as fentanyl and the precursors that go into making fentanyl. It's like, making sarson ka saag, something like that. Step 1, step 2, step 3. They provide you all the ingredients. They also give you the process. Do this, do this, do this, do this. That's how commercialized making fentanyl has become, guys. Very, very serious state of affairs. Number 5, designate the major drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. That is a big one. Again, because then the laws apply slightly differently. You can shoot at them without, even on suspicion. There are some things like that, very stringent laws. Cut off the cartels' access to the global financial system. This is going to be harder than it is talked about here, but it is possible, because once the cartels switch over to, like, for example, Bitcoin, what are you going to do? Ban Bitcoin, then they'll go to stable coin. Ban stable coin, some other coin, this coin, that coin. It's just going to be a little bit difficult to do that. However, it is possible to slow things down considerably, because every time the coin type changes, then the entire network has to get updated for that coin, right? Every Hawala person in every country will have to accept a new type of coin, and then they need to make sure that they are not getting something fake. And who is going to give you the money, like pattern of numbers in and dollars out? Who's going to trust these new coins? So that can actually make an impact. So we'll have to see how it's going to do. This is going to be a very interesting exercise, I can tell you that. Number 7, get the full cooperation of neighboring governments to dismantle the cartels, or else fully expose the bribes and corruption that protect these criminal networks. I think he is meaning this for both the Trudeau government as well as for the Mexican government. Both of them, he is, training his gun, saying that you need to cut down on your corruption, or else what? Well, they are going to probably ask. We will know what is. Ask Congress to ensure drug smugglers and traffickers can receive the death penalty. That's a big one. Again, they will have the majority in Congress, and it will pass if they push hard, because not every Republican senator might sign up behind it. There are always, exceptions. That if they can pull it off, that would be awesome, because you need that muscular policy. It's not like one thing here, one thing there. You got to do all of them, not just one thing. Now, how did Biden manage to mess up so badly as far as the border is concerned? Number 1, since Joe Biden took office, an estimated 200,000 plus Americans have died from drug overdoses. Hundreds of thousands of pounds of ultra-lethal fentanyl, heroin, meth, cocaine, and other illicit narcotics are pouring across our wide-open border and into American communities. Federal officials estimate that they only seize up to 10% of these drugs, and 90% is getting through. I mean, if you think about it, it's like a rectangular trapezoid, United States. On the top, it's probably 3,000 miles or 4,800 kilometers border, and on the south, it's about 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers. I'm not exact, okay? So, I mean, I'm just giving you an idea how big or how vast it is. Number 3, enough fentanyl was seized at the border last year to kill every American. Every single American. That's how much fentanyl was seized. That is 10%. So 9 times this amount is out there. In fact, we saw this horrible case of a children's shelter where they were stashing away fentanyl, and a child accidentally saw the powder and ingested it, and the child died. Horrible, horrible. Number 4, Biden inherited the strongest border in US history, and I agree with that, and turned it into the greatest border disaster in the history of the world. Biden halted, number 5, Biden halted wall construction, dismantled the Remain in Mexico policy, terminated asylum cooperation agreements, implemented catch and release across the entire southern border, criticized and targeted border patrol agents, also announced the cancellation of Title 42 and effectively ended interior enforcement. Title 42 was the last one they broke down, because this gave states like border states like Texas some power to stop them from coming in. Even that was taken out. You even saw situations where the state police was trying to keep the illegals out and the federal police was coming and cutting the barbed wire fences to allow them in. Crazy. I'm telling you, some of these people must have felt, what the heck am I doing? Number 6, drug cartels and human smugglers have seen their revenue skyrocket by an estimated 2,500%. That is 25 times. If they were making $1 before, now they were making $25, reaching $13 billion this year. Trafficking illegal migrants has now become a major source of revenue for the cartels. See, this money is believed to also be funding this Canadian thugs. Let's call them Canadian thugs, who wear a turban and brandish swords. Canadian thugs. And their funding also is believed to come from all this drug running. After all, they can force the truck drivers to do their bidding. Now, the bottom line is Biden has destroyed the border and Trump will destroy the cartels. Is it going to be 100%? We'll have to wait and see. It's not so easy, and it's easier said than done. These people are well established and they know what to do. They know how. They have already greased the palms of many a politician in their respective countries. So we have to see how this thing plays out. But certainly the first 90 days, you will see a flurry of activity. I hope and pray that not only are they going to destroy the drugs, the cartels, but they're also going to catch all the illegals that are roaming the streets of the United States and take them back to Mexico, throw them out there, let them figure out what they want to do. I've already surmised on what they would do. They would still want to stay along the border and try to somehow get back into US. Well, it depends upon how effective the border enforcement is going to be. That will decide whether America is going to stay safe or not. And let me see if there are any questions here. I've spoken for long enough. Let me see if there's any questions here. I have a bunch of links that I'm going to put right after this monologue is over. I'll put a bunch of links that you can go and refer to if you want to add or study up more on what all the different ways in which drugs are being trafficked into the United States. In fact, I also talked about the biggest drug bust in Canada, in British Columbia, 3 days ago, and that was a huge bestseller in terms of views. Here's a question. Jolly Mail 121. Will Elon Musk take revenge on India about Tesla? No, businessmen try to do things their way, try to see if they can get a good deal, but if they don't, they go and do something else. In fact, I expect Elon Musk to try and get Starlink accepted in India, and that might be a good idea for India. In far-flung areas, for example, Arunachal Pradesh, or up in Ladakh, or in the desert, if you want connectivity, this can provide it much better than having an Airtel or a Reliance, because you have to have wires going that far, right? Okay, Cat3309, thanks for becoming a new member. He is okay. There's next question from Bobby Epen. If US build up India, India will build up the USA. Absolutely right. We are going to see an interesting situation, like what I heard in some of the Magnificent Seven companies. When they were having layoffs in the United States, they were actually hiring 2 times that amount in India. So if 10 layoffs in the United States in a particular group, 20 people will be hired by the same group in India and more or less transfer this job over there. They felt that they were still coming out ahead even after paying the high salaries that Google pays in India. And Google pays really, really high salaries in India. Very, very good. Of course, there will be a lot of pressure, of course, that is there, but still. This is an interesting story, Bobby, about China snubbing Tesla. Well, what I'm given to understand is Elon Musk was given a complete company, 100% ownership, and that company was worth $900 million with the promise that he would make, I think, 1/3 of all cars in China to run EV by 2035. And with all that much fanfare, he had this Shanghai plant where they started building Teslas. Sure enough, these Teslas costed half the amount of money it took for Elon to build them in Fremont, California. So the first thing he did was, started selling this product in Europe. But then something happened. I think he realized that this other company, what is it, BY something, another electric vehicle company out of China, they were more or less competing at an even lesser price than him, and they had taken some critical stuff from his technology. One thing that Elon did do, BYD, correct. One thing that Elon did do was all his patents, he made them open source, meaning like anybody could take those patents and work on it. There was an altruistic mind set behind this. He wanted people to be able to improve on existing technologies, even things like charging stations and things like that. So all that said and done, now what he finds himself is that he can't take out that money from China. He has moved his manufacturing from Fremont in California to Texas, and that probably is going to give him some saving. Unfortunately for him, many of the cars that were built in Shanghai plant, they are not as good. EV, the batteries are not as good as the ones that were being made in United States. So we don't know what the thing is. Somewhere there was a breaking up, and Elon has since then more or less gone on his own. Then he, I think, purchased Twitter at that time, took it private. A lot of money spent there. Of course, a lot of investors also invested with him. So they have a plan. They had a plan. I think they have actually executed it quite well, I should say, because they've got Republican back as president. Elon Musk will be having an important role in this administration, and he might be able to coerce or cajole or do whatever word you want to put there, India into doing some things for him and with him. Willow HT wants to know, will Trump go after the H-1B visas for Indians? Any immigration related changes expected? Willow, this is not something that is easy to solve, because right now US is in a bit of a reset mode. If the US is resetting, it needs to take some time before it can get a grasp of what kind of H-1Bs it's needed. I expect that at least this year it might not go up much. More work is going to come to India, where people living in India can work in India. And if you're getting good salaries, I don't know, that could be a compelling option too. Think about it. SB says, sir, can I work as a data analyst with you from India with 70,000 rupees salary from you? Good suggestion. We are quite well staffed right now, and I will definitely keep you in mind. I mean, I'll just come and tell you guys, we're looking for some help in these areas. If anybody's interested, do join us. We do pay well, but at the same time, the work is quite tough. I can tell you that. Our work is challenging. We are learning a lot of things. We're thinking on our feet. That's what it takes today to be a successful entrepreneur. That we are doing. At my age, I'm still not afraid to jump into deep end of the pool. So that's how things work. I'm happy that I've taken this as an interesting hobby for myself. So that's where things stand, guys. Let's wait and see how this plays out. I think the notification did not go out because I don't see a lot of people logged in. However, this is an important topic. I know it will do well in the days and weeks to come. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.